Have you ever tried to talk to your wife and suddenly she goes quiet? No yelling, no big fight, just silence. Short answers, close body language. Or she walks into another room and she shuts the door. The reality is this: physically, she's around. Emotionally, she has left the building. And now, if you're like most husbands, you panic and your brain starts running through possibilities. Did I do something wrong? Is she mad at me? Or the one thing that I hear most: she used to talk to me about everything, but now she shuts down. If that silence happens again and again, it feels like rejection, and your question becomes, is she leaving me? Today, I want to introduce you to something I call the silence trap of menopause, because what looks like emotional withdrawal is often something completely different. And once you understand this, you stop making the mistake that accidentally pushed her even further away. I'm going to act as your translator because we are continuing. Remember the Menopause Manual series for husbands that we started last week. On the first episode, we saw the 3 biggest misunderstandings men have about menopause. If you haven't yet watched the video, the link is in the description. Today, we are going to tackle something quieter but just as confusing for husbands and partners: the silence. Why she withdraws, why conversations suddenly stop, and why chasing her into that silence actually make it worse. Hi, I'm Tina, deep into menopause and the author of the book, The Expert Guide to Menopause and Marriage. Welcome to this channel. My goal here is quite simple. It's to help as much couple as possible navigate the emotional and hormonal storms of midlife without sinking the ship. Because the truth is, most couples don't break apart during menopause because they stop loving each other. No, they break apart because they stop understanding each other. Let me tell you about the story of this husband. He said that my wife used to talk non-stop, and lately when I asked her what was wrong, the only thing she said, nothing, and shuts down. He said something that stuck with me. I feel like I live with a stranger now. Let that sink in for a moment. Before we go any further, I want to translate what often happens during that phase, because silence during menopause or perimenopause, as a matter of fact, is rarely about punishment. It's rarely about indifference. Most of the time, it's overwhelm, and the science will help us understand this better. Here is the science piece most couples never hear. Estrogen doesn't just regulate reproduction, it also plays a key role in brain function. Estrogen helps regulate communication between some key parts of the brain, like the amygdala that are called the fire alarm, the prefrontal cortex that are called the wise owl, and the hippocampus, the part of the brain that processes memory and stress. It's just like a librarian, or if you want, a filing cabinet type of thing. In my previous video, in fact, I explained to a great detail the role of the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex in mood disorder during perimenopause. You might want to watch that. Yes, during perimenopause, estrogen levels don't simply decline, they fluctuate drastically. According to research, the brain becomes more reactive, more sensitive to stress, and less able to filter emotional input. So something that seems so little and manageable becomes overwhelming. And when the brain becomes overwhelmed, it does something very primitive. It retreats. Psychologists sometimes call it the withdrawal response. I call it going into the cave. Not because she wants to leave you, not because she wants to leave you, but because her nervous system needs quiet. Her nervous system is dictating the rules now. Think about it this way: when a computer overheats, it doesn't keep running harder, it shuts processes down. The menopausal brain sometimes does the same thing. Conversations become too much, decision making too much, emotional processing, you guessed it, definitely too much. So the brain protects itself the only way it can: silence. Here is where couples get stuck. When men see a problem, they move closer to solve it, which is natural. When women feel overwhelmed, they often move away to regulate it. So imagine this scenario. She retreats, you follow. She gets quieter and you say, talk to me. Or you ask more questions. What's wrong? Why are you shutting me out? Suddenly something that started as overwhelm becomes pressure. Now she isn't just overwhelmed. She's overwhelmed and defending herself. And as a result, the cave's door shuts even tighter. Here is a question for husband, a question that they rarely ask. What if the fastest way to reconnect is to stop chasing your other half into the cave? There is another piece of science here that matters. It's important to fully understand what is going on in your other half body. Your body has two main nervous system mode. One that leads to the fight or flight response, meaning that you either fight to control the situation at hand or you run away from it. And the second mode leads to a resting state, relaxation or recovery state. So hormonal shift during menopause can make the stress response easier to trigger, and according to research, fluctuating estrogen level influence the cortisol and the stress sensitivity, which in turn means that when emotional conflict starts, her nervous system can escalate faster than it used to. And the silence becomes the way to actually move back towards regulation. Therefore, her silence isn't rejection, it is recovery. Let me now say something that might make a few husbands smile. Menopause can turn a woman who once hosted dinner for 20, 30 people into someone who hides in a bedroom because the dishwasher is too loud. It's not because she hates people, no. It's because her brain is saying, please, no more inputs today. Literally, her brain has become the boss. So, what actually helps? Instead of chasing her into the cave, be the lighthouse outside it. Say something simple. Something like, I can see that you're overwhelmed, darling. I am here if you need me. I am here when you're ready. Then give her something incredibly valuable, space, but without abandonment. Because when her nervous system settles, she will remember something important. You didn't escalate the storm. You stayed steady. That steadiness is one of the most powerful form of support during menopause. In the next video in this series, we are going to talk about something that many husbands quietly grieve. The moment when marriage starts to feel like a roommate situation. That feeling of, I miss my wife. We are going to talk about why that happened during menopause and how couple can rebuild emotional connection again. So if you want to understand what menopause is really doing to your relationship, subscribe because the goal here isn't just to survive this stage of life, it's learning how to navigate it together. And if you miss the first episode in this series, you have another chance to watch it.